Lew Wilson is the king of characters. He somehow brings both gravity and levity to basically every character he plays. And out of the Dimension 20 cast, I think that he probably creates some of the best, most grounded, most relatable characters in the show. Even and especially when he's playing a man made out of rock candy. So let's dig a little deeper. Lew Wilson embodies his characters so hard that he almost becomes a completely different person. The person you see on Adventuring Party is so different from Kingston Brown and Amethar Rocks. He lives and breathes his characters while he's playing, and honestly it's kind of amazing to watch. He does this both to his character's benefit and his detriment. It's easy to embody your character when it's beneficial. Most D&D players do it all the time, using the exact right ability in the exact right situation, or rushing into a combat that you know you're going to win. But it's a little bit harder to do when it's not beneficial. At least in my experience, I found it pretty easy to forget my character's obsession with gold when I thought the treasure room was trapped. Or to have your overly confident fighter back away from a fight that you know is unwinnable. Speaking of which, I want to talk about a moment from Season 2 of Fantasy High sophomore year with Fabian Seacaster. Skip to the timecode on the screen to avoid spoilers. The party's on this big pirate city known as Leviathan, and Lew has met up with a bunch of his father's warlocks. His father is a devil now at this point in the story, and he has a bunch of warlocks. He's a warlock patron. And after some time conversing with them, they are not really impressed with Fabian. And Fabian, for a whole bunch of different reasons, ends up getting in a fight alone, surrounded by pirates.
Everyone, follow me! We're gonna jump on him and we're gonna murder him!
R.I.P. Fabian.
Yeah, wait, what do we do?
We don't know. We don't know.
Everyone else.
Morgan's fully asleep.
Well, how far away do you want James and his crew to be before you charge out into the street?
Are you laughing about how you're about to die?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go get anyone.
Lew has fully fucking lost.
Oh my God.
It's in me.
You did this as a bit and now you're stuck.
No, this is not a bit. I'm fully in character. This is what I believe Fabian would
Doesn't these
do.
warlocks suck? Like, Fabian does think that he rules though.
Yeah.
That's right. This is all deeply in character.
Watching the journey to get to this point is kind of hilarious because Lew kind of loses his mind. Lew just kind of keeps laughing because he knows that this choice that Fabian is making right now is a terrible choice, but he knows it's what Fabian would do. So despite the high chance of Fabian's death, Lew leans into this choice. See, at this point in the story, Fabian is obsessed with proving that he is tough and brave and worthy of being Bill Seacaster's son. His power, his name, and his masculinity are all being challenged. So he needs to meet that challenge. So he can't really back down, at least not in the way where he could keep the respect of his father's minions. So despite the fact that Lew knows that Fabian is about to make a big mistake, he pushes through and he makes the choice his character would make. And the reason Fabian is making a terrible decision is because he is a deeply flawed character. One of the reasons Lew's characters are so compelling is that they're imperfect, and Lew plays into that. Perfect characters aren't particularly compelling, or at least not most of the time. An interesting flaw can improve a character and a story so many different ways. Lew is especially good at this, because his character's flaws are really grounded and realistic, much more so than most other D20 characters, or at least they are in the way Lew plays them. Fabian's fatal flaw is that he's extremely arrogant. Gunny from Starstruck is an impulsive gambling addict, but I think Lew's most interesting flawed character is King Amethar of House Rocks from A Crown of Candy. Amethar actually reminds me a lot of King Viserys from House of the Dragon. They're both extremely powerful men that are desperately trying to do the right thing in terrible circumstances. They're trying to be good men and also good leaders, and sometimes those two things come into conflict. And Amethar, like King Viserys, often chooses being a good man over being a good king. In fact, a choice Lu made in his backstory is actually one of the main catalysts for everything that goes wrong in the story, because a character's flaw can start with your backstory. You can even build your character around a flaw or a poor decision they made in the past and have that come back to bite you. Kind of like the exact situation we're about to talk about. But before we talk about that, my dark patron is not happy lately. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the little bell and consider becoming a member. He really likes it when you do all those things. It makes him happy, and when he's happy, he doesn't hurt me. Back to the video. Skip to the time code on the screen to avoid Crown of Candy spoilers. So this is a little bit complicated, so please bear with me. King Amethar of House Rocks is 5th in line for the throne behind his 4 sisters. So it's pretty unlikely that he becomes king. So he makes a decision and he marries a peasant woman. And that was a problem because while he's unlikely to inherit the throne, it is possible, so he can't be marrying a peasant. So it's decided at some point that he needs to annul his marriage. But the two have been separated for a while, and when Amethar goes back to find her, she's not there. They've been separated, they can't find her anywhere. So the marriage is sort of swept under the rug, not many people know about it, so they sort of just pretend it didn't happen. And then, one by one, Amethar's sisters die, tragically, and Amethar becomes the king. Amethar is then married to his sister's fiance as a way to keep a political union alive. They continue on as if Amethar's first marriage never happened, and for a long time, it's like it didn't. Until it all came back.
We have means of determining the truth of these statements. Your sister's book, swearing on it is like a magical item. It will like compel truth. Pontifex looks at you and says, King Amethar of the House of Rocks, who is your lawful wedded wife?
Though I am currently married to the Queen Carmelinda of Candia, I was previously married to a woman of the Dairy Islands.
And this marriage, it was never annulled. This is correct.
The annulment was never official. He believed.
There is no Queen Carmelinda of House Rocks. You became an oath breaker the moment that you agreed to marry her. There has never been a marriage between Carmelinda of House Rocks because you could not enter into that promise in good faith. So indeed, there is only Carmelinda of House Meringue and her 2 bastard daughters. I pronounce you false, an adulterer. And from this moment forward, you are excommunicated from the Bulbian Church. As such, you may hold neither land nor title. Then Candia has seceded from the Concord. Its alliance is broken. It is at war with the Concord. Gods, no. Seize them!
A long time ago, Amethar made a mistake. He never fixed it properly, and it ended in ruin. And Lu's choice to include that choice as a part of his character's backstory made the story so much more impactful. Flaws not only make characters more interesting and relatable, they can also build conflict and create a lot of drama. Lu Wilson loves to lean into the drama of every scene that he's in, whether that's interpersonal conflict or a big encounter with the big bad evil guy. He always finds what's most interesting about a scene and he attacks it. And not only that, he builds the drama into his characters' stories. I'm not sure any of his characters have ever started in a healthy relationship. We already talked a lot about Amethar, but something I wanted to add is that his relationship with Carmelinda, his wife, is really interesting because they are not a marriage for love. They are a political marriage, and they don't always get along, but they do manage to build a life together. Gunny from Starstruck, despite probably being Lu's silliest character, is also kind of his most depressing. I mean, he's literally in a massive amount of debt and doesn't even own his own body. That is terrifying. He's also impulsive and he's desperate, which is probably one of the worst combinations possible when you talk about making good decisions. But mostly I want to talk about Kingston Brown from Unsleeping City Chapter 1 and 2. I think Kingston is probably Lu's most unambiguously good character. He's a nurse, he's the Vox Populi, the voice of the people in New York. He's always trying to be kind and do what is best for the people around him. But that doesn't mean that he's perfect. And one of his most interesting relationships can show exactly how Lou builds drama into his characters. Skip to the timecode on the screen to avoid Unsleeping City Chapter 1 spoilers. Kingston's relationship with Liz in Unsleeping City Chapter 1 is some messy drama. They were married for a time, but ultimately their relationship didn't really work out. It was complicated because Kingston inducted Liz into the Unsleeping City, the magical side of New York. This was obviously a big change, and it was probably pretty surprising to her to see how important Kingston was and how much time and energy he had to invest into this completely different world. And Kingston was borderline neglectful of their relationship because of his responsibilities as the Vox Populi. And this causes a rift between them and eventually leads to divorce. But now Liz can't unsee the Unsleeping City. This has fundamentally changed her entire life in so many different ways, including her career path. And this is all shown in a great scene partway through Chapter 1 of Unsleeping City.
She walks back in with a glass of water, and right behind her is Liz.
Oh, come on.
Liz Herrera walks in. She clearly knows who she's going in to talk to, so she has her game face on. She sits down, looks at you. Mr. Brown, thank you for coming in today. My name is Liz.
You gonna call me Mr. Brown? Okay. Okay.
Are we gonna do this?
No, we're not gonna do it. Yeah, no.
Are we gonna do this?
No, Mr. Brown's ready to talk.
I'm at work. So the thing with me here, Kingston, is that I'm at work right now.
Okay, but
You see that Liz turns a recorder on and keeps her voice professional, but is just fucking staring daggers at you. So, Kingston, it's my understanding that you attended the wedding of Angela Confetti to Ronald Pigeon.
yes, I was on a date with Misty Moore to the confetti wedding on Sunday.
Click.
No.
Go f yourself.
All right, you know what? I don't want to do this.
I always knew there was something weird with her, you and her. She's wanted to f you for years.
Yes.
I know it. You're such a piece of shit. You are such a fucking
Don't
dog.
even do this. You know.
You're telling me you were faithful voice to the city.
I am faithful. I was faithful. I would have continued to be faithful. It wasn't a date. I'm mad. Okay.
I love how Lou instigates drama immediately and then follows it up with a really heartfelt performance. This sets up some really fertile ground for character progression and conflict. And it proves fruitful because they're able to build on that throughout both seasons of Unsleeping City. The drama in that scene comes from two places. One was Lou's momentary decision to stoke the flames of the drama, and also from his choice to include this complicated relationship in his backstory. Both of these techniques are great on their own, but when they are used in conjunction like this, it just elevates every scene that Lou is in. Speaking of elevating things that he's in, Lou Wilson was in one of Critical Role's best series, Exandria Unlimited Calamity. Seriously, it is the best actual play I have ever seen, and I cannot get over how good it actually is. In fact, I made a video about it. You can watch it here. There are a lot of great players in that series, and Lou is one of them. Shout out to my channel members, Viva Fox and my mom. Thanks, Mom. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to get your name shouted out at the end of videos and see them a couple days early, consider becoming a channel member. Thank you so much for watching.